coming out this morning. We wanted to give you a quick chance to kind of talk to the two lead teachers for 5th grade, Margaret Gooch and David Spate, and also tell you a little bit about middle school and what's coming up, and give you a chance to ask some questions if there's some things that you're curious about that might make the transition easier for your child. You have a chance to talk. This is also Annie Calder, or Annie Samples Calder. She just got married recently. She's our middle school counselor. And so I want you to know that this year we have a lower school counselor and a middle school counselor, because we feel like the need is that great for kids to have that support in each division. So Annie's a great resource for your child and for you guys and us. So I want to make sure you have a name and a face. And if you wanted to ask her any questions, you can too, but you can also email her. We'll let the experts start.
All right, introduce. My name is David Spates. I teach math and science in the 5th grade. I've been here now 14 years at ESK. 2 kids, yeah, both my kids. Yeah, both my kids went to ESK in middle school. I think my son started when he was in 3rd grade, and my daughter started when she was in 5th grade. She actually had Dad for a teacher. She loved that. And then they went on to high school, graduated high school. My daughter just graduated from South Carolina. And my son is in the middle of his junior year at MTSU. And yeah, they come back and have lunch at ESK every so often.
I'm Margaret Gooch. This is my 9th year of teaching. I was here for 2 years in middle school back in the early 2000s. And I teach language arts and literature in 5th grade. I also host the 5th and 6th grade book club that meets once a month during lunch recess. That's totally optional, but very fun for 5th graders. And I have a 7-month-old baby boy named Thomas. So I wasn't here last spring, but I'm back. And that's
Do you want to let Annie tell a little bit?
yes, and
I'm Annie. I am a recent graduate of ESK. I got my master's there. And I got married a week and a half ago. Yeah, that's amazing.
Annie's on the 5th grade team, so she eats lunch with us and is at recess with us, and often will go on field trips with us. So the 5th graders get to know her quite a bit because she's with us every day, which is pretty cool.
I teach guidance too. So I'll have fun for that.
And it's kind of by design. We wanted her to kind of build a relationship with them early in her middle school career, so that she's a face that they're comfortable with. That's what she's
Believe me, we could talk on and on and on about how middle school works. So I'll give you a quickie little thumbnail sketch, but then we want to make sure that you have time to ask questions that were uppermost on your mind. In middle school, there are 8 periods a day. When the bell rings at 8 o'clock, we jump right in the first period, as opposed to lower school where the 8 o'clock bell means the start of chapel, and it's kind of a slower ramping up period. In middle school, we hit the ground running in the first period. 8 periods during the day. We wrap up at 3:30. During the course of the day, 5th graders will have math every day, so they'll see me every day. They'll also have science every day, so they see me twice a day. They have social studies every day. They have language arts every day. They have literature 3 times a week at various times, depending on how the schedule shakes out. In addition to all the other special classes that you would expect, PE, art, they have PE 3 times a week, art twice a week.
And then they have a sampling of world language, which is paired with the Learning Center. So if your child is in the Learning Center, they will have that instead of world language. The rest of the 5th graders are divvied up into groups of 3, and they'll take a world language class for a term. And they'll rotate through all 3 so that at the end of 5th grade, they can decide which class they'd like to take for the rest of their middle school time. So it's Mandarin, Latin, or Spanish. And the same concept is used for music. It's just there are 2 music classes instead of 3. So for one half of the year, they will have either chorus with Miss Gallagher or string band with Mr. Moffat. And then when we come back from Christmas break, they will take the other class that they did not. And it's the same idea. At the end of 5th grade, they can decide, I really like string band. I would like to play this instrument and continue on with Mr. Moffat, or man, I really thought I was going to love the guitar and I'm terrible at it. I don't want to do it. I want to sing, and then they can continue with Miss Gallagher next year. And it's nice for you all too because you don't have to commit to an instrument right away. That your child 2 months in decides that they don't want to do it anymore. They get a chance to decide for themselves. I want this. I don't want this. And I think that. Oh, and then there are enrichment classes that are accompanied with Acorns to Oaks, guidance, religion. And so enrichment classes we have 2 design classes. One is study skills, and I teach that to one group of the kids, and then Ms. Coleman, who is our 6th and 8th grade social studies teacher, teaches the other enrichment class, but it's study skills. So we're teaching the same thing. And all of 5th grade will rotate through us, and so either one of us will teach the other third of the 5th grade who hasn't had study skills yet, or we'll begin our Shark Tank enrichment class, which is an entrepreneurship business model class where they get to design and follow through, and we're excited that will be the second half of the year. And so that, I believe, are all the 5th grade classes.
And just one more thing to kind of toot the horn of the world languages, it's very common after middle schoolers at ESK complete 3 years of the world language. It's quite common for them to go into the 2nd year of that language when they get to high school. For instance, instead of having Latin 1 their freshman year, most of them are proficient enough to where they can jump into Latin 2 for their freshman year. Both my kids did that with Chinese, and they loved it. They jumped right in, skipped Chinese 1 and their freshman year in high school, and jumped right into Chinese 2. And so yeah, just get that prop out there to the world language program that we have here.
And if it sounds like a lot, it both is, but it is also something that your kids adjust to rather quickly. You'll be very impressed with them. They get schedules when they come for 5th grade and middle school orientation. We put one in their locker. We encourage, strongly make them carry around a paper copy of the other one so that they have it physically. And by either the end of the first week, and some kids need into the 2nd week, totally fine. They know where they're going. They know what their classes are. The hardest one for them, honestly, I totally understand because I have to do it too, is figure out when do I have literature, when do I have art. And it's because their friends aren't all going the same time also. And so it's just that's an individual thing, but they figure it out. And if they accidentally go to art instead of coming to literature, it is not the end of the world. It's not a very large campus. It happens. Miss Winston understands. I understand. We get them where they need to be, and we continue on, and we laugh about it. It's okay. And I tell the kids too, when the very beginning of the year, I'm like, if you feel embarrassed, I totally understand. It's all right. I used to teach 8th grade literature for a couple years, almost like Castor was on medical leave, and I had 8th graders still sometimes forget when do I have art, when do I have literature, and so it's okay if you as a 5th grader mess it up 1 or 2 times. It's totally fine. 8th graders still do it. So those are the classes.
Yeah. I mean, we can continue to talk about homework. We can talk about anything you want, but with that in mind, just as a pause and give us a chance to rest our voices for a second. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've talked about up to this point? Yeah.
You mentioned the Learning Center, but
Right.
I actually don't know what that is.
Oh, great. Yeah.
The Learning Center is a feature we have in the middle school where kids who need some extra assistance in one class or all classes just get some additional help, additional support. Lisa Iman is the teacher at the Learning Center. She's been here for a few years, and she does a great job of communicating with the teachers to make sure that she is aware of where we need some extra push, where we need some extra support, where we need some extra practice. So she and I will routinely talk multiple times during the day. This kid is working on this, he's kind of struggling with this, or she's working on that, she's kind of struggling with that. And it's just a way to support those kids who need a little extra support.
Yeah.
And like Ms. Gooch said, kids who go to the Learning Center won't go to a world language. That being said, that is not carved in stone by any means. If the kids start off in the Learning Center and 3, 4, 5, 8 months down the road, everybody agrees we don't really need this anymore, then you can transition into the world language. But that time in the Learning Center has to come somewhere, so that's where it comes from.
Yeah, and it's for kids who need support in executive functioning skills. Oftentimes, if they have a learning difference, dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD, ADD, that is an option. And so it's not that every kid goes, and it's not that every kid needs it. It's there if your child needs the support. And that's a conversation that comes up at the end of 4th grade and is a collaboration both with the 4th grade teachers and the Learning Center and with the parents. Because if it's something that you feel that your kid definitely needs, we will get that ball rolling. And it may be something that you hadn't thought about before, but you're like, oh, maybe this is changing. 4th grade is that transition. 4th grade to 5th grade is the transition where they are getting grades. There's more work. There is more homework. So sometimes where it wasn't one in the lower school, it may become one now. But it's always an option or a discussion later in the road in middle school. So that's the learning center. Yes.
Are there other instruments offered or only string instruments?
I believe right now it's just
It's
string.
only string. The kids who know how to play the piano or the drums or something sometimes play that in string band. They have a company. And they usually don't do it in the beginning, to teach them a different instrument. So they do lessons and something like. Sometimes we have kids with violins, maybe they come in and play. Or banjos. It's been a while since we've had banjo.
Yeah.
It's
Mr.
really
Moffitt
nice
is
when
a
we
pretty well versed, very highly talented musician in a lot of different areas. So
Yeah.
he helps the kids in a lot of different areas. I see kids in there playing drums, I see kids playing piano, bass guitar, electric guitar, because if there's something that the kid can play, Mr. Moffitt can help.
And that's why we like the exposure class, where they get a chance to try it and see. Because if you don't give them a chance to experience it, sometimes they don't even know if there's a possibility of something that they would enjoy and they'd be good at.
And it's a good way to get a taste. I remember when my daughter was in string band, she got into the class and she was all gung-ho about it. Dad, you gotta have guitar. I said, let's see where this goes. So I go to the pawn shop, spend $30 on a guitar. 3 months later, she never picked up the guitar. But it gave her a taste, and she knew, oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna try it. It's not for me, and moved on to something else. Great, that's exactly what middle school's for.
Can you talk about sports? This is an athletic.
Sports,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Go on,
Yeah.
Right shirt for today. Yeah, so I coach the flag football team. I also coach the chess club. And in the spring, I've done a lot of different things. It kind of depends on what the league is doing. I've done girls softball. I've done soccer. I've done basketball in the past. There's a sport for your kiddo to play if he or she is interested somewhere. Whether that be in the KISL where you're playing against, the St. John Newmans of the world and the Webbs of the world and all the other schools in the KISL, or if it's in a lower tiered league where maybe the 5th graders are also playing with the 4th and 3rd graders in the KISL lower school league. We've got Saints League. Kind of like with the musicianship, there's just a lot of things that you can taste and try. And I love ESK. You don't have to be a superstar athlete to get on to the team necessarily. So it gives a lot of kids an opportunity to kind of see what they like and see what's out there.
Yeah, so we have everything you can think of, just about, minus, I would say baseball is the one sport that we don't currently have. Doesn't mean you can't, it's hard to compete with all the.
Yeah, as far as baseball
leagues.
goes, we found that most kids who want to play baseball
we are
fun
on the
places
team.
there. They're on track.
But we have tennis and cross country, flag football, volleyball.
Ross.
In the fall, basketball, swimming, dance, and lacrosse is kind of they do a workshop in the fall and then they also play in the spring. And then in the spring there's been softball in the past. It just depends honestly if other schools can field a team. We haven't typically had an issue, but some other schools do. So softball, soccer, lacrosse, track and field, golf, and often too, like if there's some interest and we can gather enough people, sometimes we can create something. But lots of options. And for fifth graders, almost all of the sports that they play are with the middle school. With cross country, they have the option to run with the elementary or the option to run with the middle, because that is KYS, so that's with the public schools as well as the private schools.
Swimming.
Yeah, swimming is Catholic
It's always
youth
something.
swimming. And so that is led, I believe, by Jackie Bertucci, and that's, and it's with all the other, it's kind of like KISL, but it's specifically for swimming. So it's a lot of the other Catholic high school feeder schools. And that's down in UT Aquatic Center.
Did you say dance
Yeah.
and tennis and
Dance
bowling?
and I forgot bowling.
Bowling. Yeah.
And bowling, we had a mini fall session, which was new and very exciting. And then there's also a winter session, and that's really popular. It is strictly for fun.
Cheese
It has-
fries.
Yeah. There is some instruction with it, but it's also more of like a club casual hangout. It can be as competitive as you want it to be, or it can be as relaxing and fun as you want it to be. And that's led by Ms. Winston and Ms. Gary now, since Ms. O'Donnell has moved on. I am not coaching basketball this year, 7-month-old, but hopefully I will return next year. I've been the girls basketball coach for the past 8 years, so hope to return next year. So other questions?
Yes.
I know I came in a minute late, but did you all talk about Tribe 11?
Oh,
Not yet.
not yet?
Tribe 11. So if you've heard the term Tribe 11 refers to kind of a cohort environment where the 5th and 6th graders do a lot of activities together, 5 plus 6, 11, so Tribe 11. And we've just realized over the years that 5th and 6th graders are a lot more similar in nature than 7th and 8th graders. So we try to purposefully have 5th and 6th graders do things together. They eat lunch together. They have recess together. We go on trips together. We do, at the start of the year, we do camp days together. We do service projects together. So when you hear Tribe 11, that's really just us trying to give the 5th graders and 6th graders an opportunity to kind of intermingle and exist together. We encourage the kids at lunch to sit with 5th graders and 6th graders all at the same table. That can be kind of a tough sell sometimes. It's kind of like, oh, I don't want to sit with boys. I don't want to sit with girls. I don't want to sit with 6th graders. But we encourage it. We try to do the best we can. So when you hear Tribe 11, that's really kind of what we're talking about.
Yes.
Do they still have chapel?
Yes.
Yes, every day.
At 10:30, give or take. It's in the middle of the day, so it's a little different than lower school. But we still have the homily, we sing, and we do middle school announcements where they kind of find out, what's for lunch, what's happening in practice. We do game announcements and recaps, so the kids get to come up and tell about what happened in the volleyball match last night, how did the flag football game go. We celebrate birthdays. And we have special visitors come to chapel sometimes. We've also had student presentations in chapel. Last year, I had a 5th and a 6th grader do a book talk to the entire middle school about one of our book club books that we read for Holocaust Remembrance Day, which was really neat. It was very student-led. So yes, chapel is still a thing. It's just at a different time.
And it's a great opportunity for everyone in middle school to kind of sit, be together, and share experiences. It's,
Yes.
Yeah.
Made me think of Saint Singers. We didn't talk about Saint Singers.
I love chapel because, like I said, it's like our one time of the day when the entire middle school comes together, is in the same room, share things that are important to us, share things that everybody needs to know all at once rather than try to get 5th grade here, 6th grade there, 7th grade. We're all in the same room together for 40 minutes, and it's just a great time to get those things done. stuff, so,
Yes.
singers.
So in addition to sports, we also have some clubs. So I mentioned the 5th and 6th grade book club. And that design is, we act like the American Library Association, and we try to pick books that we think will be awarded the Newbery Medal. So that's kind of our criteria. And then there's Student Government Association, which Mr. Spates and Ms. McIntosh lead. And that is, those are elected positions, so the kids will, if they decide to run for representative, they'll write a speech, they'll go through the application process with the teachers, and then they'll read their speeches and be voted in. And then there's Singing Singers, which is another group where if you want to be in it, you can be in it. It's an a cappella group that meets twice a week during lunch recess for the whole year, and that's led by Ms. Gallagher. And they have performances throughout the year. They've sung the national anthem at basketball games down at UT, not just basketball games, soccer games, I think maybe baseball games. Yeah, and then chess is after school. I think those are our middle school clubs. But with middle school clubs, you know, like I said with sports, like if there is a desire and there's a want, and the kids can find a sponsor and a time to meet, it happens. So we didn't always have a book club. It was created. And
And sometimes we have clubs that exist for a while and then go away. At one point, we had kids who were interested in playing, what was it, Magic the Gathering? Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, yeah, all that kind of, and there'll be a club for Magic the Gathering that may last for a year or two, and they meet during lunch once a week, and then the interest kind of fades away, and then the club's no longer there. But my point is that if a student has an interest in establishing a new club that we haven't thought of, you know, that's absolutely okay. We'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
As long as you can kind of get the numbers together and make sure people are interested to show up to it.
And we have most of our club meetings during the day, in part because we know the kids are so busy after school. And so this way it allows them to participate if they want to. So if we had them after school, it makes it much harder and it would limit the numbers. Other questions?
Go ahead.
She works here.
So for clubs and sports, is there a master list of this anywhere? And also practices, just like you said, with after school activities, like, you know, daughter might want to do some sports or worry about schedules.
The best place to find that information, honestly, is at the activity fair that we have in August. If you would like more information ahead of that, preemptively, I'm sure we have a list of it somewhere.
Miss Brophy.
Yeah, summarize it.
Miss Brophy, Marsha Brophy is the athletic
And then
director. Yeah.
for clubs, would that still, is there a club list as well?
We can create one.
Saint Circle has
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
They
Saint
have
Circle.
all of it, like, throughout, they'll list it with, you know, fall sports, spring sports, winter sports, and they'll kind of say which clubs are winning.
Just-
And like I said, some of these clubs are kind of transitory, kind of temporary, and so the list that St. Circle may have may need to be updated just because new clubs have come in and others have faded away. But yeah, we can absolutely get you whatever information you need about sports or clubs or whatever.
And then just, other questions.
You mentioned talking about homework.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
What would you like to know about homework?
I have just speak about it in general.
Okay,
How much?
in general, you can expect your kiddo to have a little bit of math homework pretty much every single day. And the reason for that is this. It's a 40 to 45 minute class. And that doesn't give me a lot of time for the kids to have some practice with the problems. And math, you just got to have some practice. You got to swing the bat a few times. So in order for me to make sure that the kids have time to do some practice, they're going to have 5, 10, 15 minutes of homework pretty much every night. Now, when I say 5, 10, 15 minutes of homework, that's kind of what I'm targeting for in my head when I make lesson plans during the week. I remember clearly years ago I was at a parent night and 2 of my 5th grade parents were standing next to me. One parent said, "Mr. Spates, I feel like you don't give enough homework." And the other parent standing literally right next to her said, "I feel like you give too much homework." Same homework, same class, same plan, same page 48 or whatever. But for one kid, you know, it may last 5 minutes, and for another kid, it may last 35 minutes. I'm targeting kind of that sweet spot to where they get some practice with the concepts, but at the same time not getting so frustrated that they're throwing the math book across the room, hitting the dog and all that kind of stuff. So we really want, we all really want the kids to have the practice that they need, but not to the point where they're reaching for frustration level. Because nothing really good happens when they reach that frustration level. And I tell the kids all the time, if you come to the point in the evenings where your tears are falling and you're throwing the math book at the dog, stop, push pause, come in the morning, you and I will figure it out. Okay.
So yeah, 5th grade homework, the idea is about 10, if they have homework that evening, about 10 to 15 minutes per subject. So if in the chance they have homework in every single subject, which would be math, science, social studies, literature, and language arts, which is rare, it would be about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And so for language arts, you can expect vocabulary homework, occasional grammar homework and writing homework. I try to do a lot of writing in class so that it is there writing. It's okay.
No, I giggle sometimes.
It's fine. Yeah, it is helpful for me to see what they can do completely unedited, unrevised. What is their work? Because that tells me this is what they are capable of on their own, and that tells me where I need to take them. If there is doctoring or helping at home, then it creates a better, an unrealistic picture. And then with literature only meets 3 days a week, so there's a good chance they may have homework, but they're going to have a couple days to do it. And often with my classes, it's that they're getting a couple days to do an assignment. So then what you may encounter is not that it's a ton of homework, it's that there was procrastination and poor time management, and they wait until the night before it's due, but it was a week's worth of homework. And then you have the tears and the frustration and throwing the dog. So 5th grade is also, homework can be that challenge of managing their time, and that is part of what Study Skills is talking about. And with Study Skills, I and someone, we both give them at least 15 minutes of study hall at the end of the class. And then the Sharp Tank enrichment class will also have study hall built in because we know that that is important, especially for kids who are busy after school. And there are times throughout the day where they may have time to do homework. Before, if they get here at 7:40, they have 20 minutes until first period. That is a lot of time. And if they finish up something in class, they are sometimes given study hall. The same with religion and probably not Acorn Stokes, but there are some other classes where they may be given a study hall opportunity. So it's also, are they taking advantage of it, or are they choosing to do other things?
Just to quickly build on something, I promise I'll get you over here. When we were talking about work being done at home and maybe it's not always, parents are absolutely welcome and encouraged to help your kids with homework.
Oh, yes.
That is your job as a parent. I help my kids with homework. It's what we expect. But on the other hand, there's a fine line. You want to help, but not do it, right? So that's kind of what we're looking for, is that sweet spot of, hey, a little bit of help from mom and dad, totally fine, but the math assignment doesn't come in mom's handwriting. So yeah, just to say that. Yeah.
Was the study skills class one of the trimester sections? Is
Yes.
that what you said?
Yes. So the idea, they're all divvied up. This is a new design, and it's like a 3-wheel. Their study skills is with Acorn Oaks and religion, and then another study skills is with guidance and tech. That's the other one. And so they rotate on this wheel. So, Tom has study skills term 1. Next term, Tom will have guidance, and then the final term, he'll have religion. Or it's on a rotation. And so the idea is that before they leave at the end of the year, they will have had study skills and they will have had all these classes. It's just they're not all going to have them at the same time.
And it seems like my 8th grader a few years back, he was given a planner at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Yes.
Something that
Yes.
Still do that.
We still do
A
that.
paper
how to
planner.
fill that out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Handwritten paper planner.
I had an exchange with a 5th grader yesterday. I was like, so and so, you need to get your planner out. Oh, I filled it out. Great. Show me that you filled it out. And then they opened it, and they were like, well, I was just about to. I was like, that's what I thought. And so I make them fill it out at the beginning of every class, and they cannot put it away until I have seen it.
I make them fill it out too. But as a backup, we have all the lesson plans and the homework and the assignments and what's going on in day's head on Veracross, aka formerly Renweb. But it's all there. So if there's something that you want to confirm, that's something that your child has told you, I've done this. Dad, I've got this and this due on Tuesday and I've done it. Okay, great. Let me just double check. Yep, there it is. You know, kind of a trust but verify situation.
And if there is an instance where the planner says one thing and Veracross says the other thing, planner's first line of defense is that was in the classroom, that was with the homework board. We fill out Veracross either the Friday, the week before, and best laid plans, things change. And sometimes we don't always get an update on the computer where we've updated it in the classroom. So we tell kids if that's the thing, if that's the deal, get home and says two different things, email us. And if it becomes a huge fight argument, it's what Mr. Spade said. Just time out, come see us in the morning. We will handle it. We have never, ever punished a kid for not doing homework, penalize them because we had a clerical error.
And I can't count the number of times I've had a student email me say, you told us to do page 65 through 15 in class, but Veracross says this. Oh, you're right. I intended for this, but then the way things happened in class, it turned out to be this, and I didn't get a chance to update that. Thanks for the heads up. I'll go update it right now. You're on the right track. That kind of thing. Yeah, I encourage kids, hopefully more kids than parents, to email me with questions like that. Because we really want to put a lot of that responsibility into their hands because that's just how it's going to be moving forward through middle school and certainly in the high schools.
I teach them how to email a teacher and study skills. I show them examples of how not to email a teacher, which I showed them a couple pictures of screenshots of actual emails I received and their jaws were on the floor. They sent you that? I'm like, they did? Why would they send? I don't know, but this is what you should not do.
Yes.
So, yeah. Other
And
questions?
so do you have office hours, or how do they see you if they need a little extra help or something like that?
Well, for example, if they need some extra help in math, what I encourage kids to do is to come in a little bit early. Remember, the doors open at 7:40. The first class starts at 8. So from 7:40 to 8, if you're able to get your kiddo here a little bit on the early side, I can do some one-on-one math help. I usually get here by 7:15 or so in the morning. If you need some extra help, fine, bring them in. I know that's a lot on you, but also, we have times where we feel like, okay, we're really struggling with this area. I may need to pull you from PE one day and iron something out. And if I feel like I need to do that, and I hate to do it very often, but if I need to pull you from here or pull you from there just for a class once every week or every other week or something like that, so we can iron something out that I feel like we need to iron out, then I'll do that. So we find the time somewhere, somehow.
Yes.
Part of my counseling thing is also academic focus. So if your child isn't in the learning center, but they are stuck to their teachers, if they're on the shyer side, they can always come to me, ask for help organizing, ask for help talking to their teacher. I can kind of be meetings on the area too. So.
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to you.
Yeah.
If they have guidance and religion and study skills and rotation,
I realized as I said it, it left out
then
things.
does that mean a kid cannot have study skills until term 4?
Yes.
And so then that kid's not going to have learned how to email their teacher for help until term 3.
Yes, in theory. Yes, you're correct. And that is,
But a lot of it they get in regular class.
Yes.
Right, that's what I was
Cover
saying.
language arts or things at the very beginning of the year to all fifth graders to make sure that all fifth graders get it. There's certain things that they cover about how to use their Chromebook, log into their textbooks, things like that. But it's not in study skills class, it's in
Exclusively.
regular class
yeah.
as well. Because it's really giving the baby steps there first to be able to do all these things. So it's not that it has to be particular study skills term one. They're
Yeah.
gonna get it, it's
It
just, it may be in the name in another class.
And it will get reinforced in study skills. So
This
Miss,
is a brand new class.
it's brand new, yes.
So my daughter didn't have this class last year in fifth grade, so this is totally new.
Well, she did. She had it as an elective, but it was first term elective. So it used to be fifth grade had all of middle school had electives,
Okay.
and they selected what they wanted. But as fifth graders incoming, the first term they didn't get to pick. They were all put into study skills study hall, and so they all received study skills study hall the first term, and it was divvied up between me and Miss Woodson and Miss Carr. And then in the second and third term, they chose their elective, and they could pick study hall, or there were there was a knitting and crocheting elective, there was an art elective, there was a technology elective. Mr. Fowler at the very beginning of the year now, when he hands out the Chromebooks, goes through how to log on to Veracross, how to check your email, how to send an email. It's just the study skills goes into a more in-depth, more time to practice, but it gets reinforced throughout the year, some of these concepts.
So will they have actual textbooks, or are there textbooks on the Chromebooks? And then with that, do they have lockers?
Yes, and yes, and yes.
Yes.
All of it, yes.
Yeah.
Physical textbooks we have textbooks that are online. They have 2 lockers, top and bottom, so they can put their gym bag for after school practice or whatever in the bottom, and all their computer and books and papers and pencils and disco balls and whatever else they got in there on the top
Shag
locker.
rugs.
Shag rugs, yeah, the whole deal. So some of the books are still traditional physical book copy. What I've started doing in math, where we do still have a traditional paper textbook, in addition to the paper textbook, which I realize is heavy and it goes in the backpack and moves down, I've put all of that online. I've scanned every single page of the textbook. So if a kiddo forgets their math book, or they just realize, man, this is heavy, it's also available online. So what that does for me is A, it gives them an opportunity to kind of choose how they want to do those math assignments. But B, on the other hand, it also doesn't really give them an out. So if they come in and tell me, oh, I forgot my math textbook, well, it's on Google, it's right there, it's in Google Classroom. So it kind of puts the more responsibility into their hands, which I like because, yeah, their responsibility level is not going to decrease as they get older. It's certainly going to go up.
And the social studies textbook is exclusively online, so there's not a paper copy of that. Yes.
Can we discuss leveled math language arts?
Yeah, level
yeah.
math. In 5th grade, we level math classes. There are 3 different levels. Every single level does the exact same thing. Same curriculum, same concepts, same topics. The faster moving math class moves at a faster pace, and they go into a little bit more depth, and the numbers are a little bit hairier. The grade level group doing the exact same concepts, same curriculum, maybe not quite as in depth as the fast moving group, and the kids who need a little extra practice and a little extra time, they're doing the exact same curriculum as everybody else. Maybe the numbers aren't as hairy, maybe it's not as in depth, but all the concepts, all the processes are still there. It's just a question of how quickly are you going and how deep are you going. Everybody's going to end up at the end of the year having done the same thing. It's just a question of pace.
It's the same for literature, so they get the same instruction, the same curriculum. It's just pacing. So they're with kids that are roughly around their same reading level, and so it allows them to work in the area that they work best. And so I found, for the kids that need a little bit more time, that it has freed them to think and move at their pace, as opposed to trying to keep up with the kids who are rapid fire. And so they're not feeling constantly like they're trying to keep their head above water and following along. But we're still getting through all the same things. I use Scope, it's a Scholastic magazine, literary magazine, for part of the literature curriculum. And so it has nonfiction, fiction, poetry, plays. It's great. And use accompanying lessons for that. And then we also do novel studies, which we will start soon as we're all gonna read the same thing, it's just how the material is approached is slightly different. And that's literature, not language arts.
And what that also does, particularly in math, just what I can speak to, is that it creates very small, intimate classes. My math classes are anywhere from 9 to 15 kids. Nobody's really flying under the radar when there's only 9 or 15 kids in the room. So it's easy for me to see where a student needs extra help, extra support, and at the same time, I can also see, oh, this kid really wants to go, 180 degrees in this direction and go off on some tangent, and it's easy for me to provide that to the kids when there's 9 or 15 kids in the room. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Nothing is locked in. When those math placements come in from the 4th grade teachers, because I rely on them because they know the kids, I don't know the kids. So I rely on the 4th grade teachers to tell me, okay, where do you think these kiddos need to be in terms of their math classes? And I always ask them to kind of err on the side of caution. If there's a student who's kind of on the fence between one group and another, let's start maybe a little bit lower and see if they progress and move to a higher, faster moving math class like that, because that's a better transition for the student, it's a better transition for the parents, and I'd rather have them start a little bit lower and move up than start too high and have to move down. That's a tougher transition. So I really rely on the 4th grade teachers to do that. I've got a kid who I'm moving this week who is in the grade level group, and she's just been knocking it out of the park. So she's ready to move to that faster level class. Talked to the parents, they were thrilled. Talked to the students, she was thrilled. And that's kind of the benefit of a small school like ESK. We're nimble enough, and small enough, and agile enough that we can make those changes without having to go through a 3-week review process or whatever it is. And absolutely. Not set in stone, very fluid.
Is that throughout middle school as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the same with movement, Other questions? Yes.
What about outdoor activities? Do you also do like outdoor chapel and hikes and
Yep, we do acorn
bees or whatever?
The kids have acorns to oaks, which is something they're familiar with. Obviously, we're out at recess. Outdoor chapel depends on Father Matt's inclination and the weather and all that sort of thing. We definitely try to get them outside as much as we can. Depends on what we're doing curriculum-wise.
They've gone hiking in Latin, PE, tech, other classes like science, and sometimes in language arts. It just depends on how it fits in. We find opportunities to go outside. Last Thursday was really nice, and I let my language arts, I opened the door and I was like, if you want to write outside, write outside. And if you want to write in the classroom, write in the classroom.
I do the same thing. If it's nice outside and you're doing a little small group activity, hey, go out on the back porch, go on the sidewalk, go to the sunshine, get your work done, but go outside and do what you need to do.
Find opportunities.
And in that backfield there, not sure on the construction timeline per se, but we will have built-in classroom space coming along with some of the new things that are happening in that back area as well. So they'll be able to utilize that for sure.
Other questions?
I know in 4th grade they start getting grades on the back end. Does that mean 5th grade they get grades from the beginning?
Yes,
Day
day one.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it can be an adjustment for some kids, but 5th grade is the time to get a few skin knees, as like Mr. Spates likes to say all the time, because nobody's going back in time looking at your 5th grade grades. So if we start to see a pattern, this isn't a one-time thing, this isn't, oh, I forgot my word, okay, but it's over and over again. We don't let it get to the point where they're having 5, 10 grades that are failing. We say, time out, something's going on. We sit down with kids, we contact you, and we come up with a plan. So like something is not working. We do not want your kids to just be failing outright. We don't let them do that.
It's an eye-opener for parents and teachers when all the calculations go into the grades and the averages and quiz percentages and test percentages and all that sort of thing. The example I always like to give is, maybe in 4th grade at the start of the year, you get 15 out of 20 correct on a math quiz, and the student walks out of the room thinking, hey, I got 15 out of 20. That's pretty good. And then in 5th grade, when that turns into a grade and you realize, oh, that's a 75. Maybe that's not as great as I thought it was. It's just the reality of the numbers can be kind of an eye-opener. And yeah, like Ms. Gooch said, we're okay with some bumps in the road. Because you want to figure out those bumps in the road now rather than in 8th grade. And you sure don't want to try to figure them out in high school. So we're trying to help them figure out how to be the best student they can be now and have some hiccups and some skid knees and some bumps in the road now so we can smooth it out by the time they get into 7th, 8th grade and certainly high school.
But also we have the conversation with them that, you know, you're all on the same scale, but someone's A, someone's B may be someone else's A. And that you have to look at yourself as an individual and not compare yourself. So, you know, in my classroom, I'm like, we don't share grades. You be proud of yourself, you do your inside silent dance, you're happy with it. If you want to share outside the room, that's great, but in my room, it's your private information. Because, you know, I had a kid, she got a 75, and I put a little smiley face on it because I'm like, this was great. And it made her feel so good because she was like, I worked really hard, and that was really hard, and I am proud of this grade. But if that had been somebody else, they may have been disappointed in it. But you have to recognize that every kid is individual. And so we keep that in mind too with the grading scale because it is a scale.
And I would love to talk and answer questions and drink more coffee, but I got a class to teach right now. You heard the bell going off, so that means first period is over. So I've got kiddos walking into my room right now. I really appreciate you all showing up. If you have other questions, feel free to email us or Miss Lovely or whoever's email you have. And but yeah, appreciate everything showing up. I hope we answered some questions. Maybe you took some mysterious aspects out of middle school a little bit.
He's Spates at ES Knoxville. I'm Googe at ES Knoxville. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. If you want to email us, and then I think we're going to do this again later.
This is the first of the year. You'll get more opportunities. You don't have to have everything right now to know the whole year ahead.
It's only October. We got plenty of time.
And we will send you a follow-up email, you know, with some information about what we talked about today.